Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Navy and I wanted to welcome you to another video. Today I am going to read two stories from the subreddit Nuclearrevenge. These stories include an unjustified firing and a cheating ex that got the revenge of a lifetime. Are they nuclear or not? We shall see. Oh yeah, and do not forget to like, subscribe and comment on what I should post next. That being said, let's get right into it. First title is Fire Me for Speaking Up, Enjoy Going Out of Business. Many years ago, I worked at an automotive repair shop that was owned by a very nasty person. This person actually had two shops that he ran, and the best way I can describe him was a tyrant. Both shops had cameras, and he would watch us work from the comfort of his home. If he saw something he didn't like, such as taking a 5-minute smoke break or not sweeping for half a minute during downtime, or if he just wanted to bust balls, he would call the shop and harass us. Or better yet, at times show up and harass us in person. In addition, he would regularly berate us for no reason, threaten to not pay us because the shops weren't busy, and would have an absolute meltdown if you dared question his authority. It was spectacular, in the worst of ways. After working for him for a few months and dealing with his shenanigans and getting sick of pointless arguments with him, I started reconsidering my employment there. Around the same time, the owner decided to move me from one shop to the other. Really for no reason other than likely to try to push me out, as that was what he did with the few people that I had already worked with. Odd coincidence being that I had not discussed my thoughts of leaving with anyone, but I digress. I genuinely disliked the idea of working at this other shop. It was older and a bit rundown, plus it was in a pretty terrible area with high crime. But I wanted to line something up elsewhere before I jumped ship, so I made the move. This is where the beginning of the end started for all Mr. Owner. Once I got settled into the new shop, I got to talking with my fellow technicians. As it turns out, the owner was unsurprisingly a racist scumbag, and every single one of the employees at this location, aside from me, was African American. I'll spare you the details, but let's just say it's a miracle that the owner came into the shop, said what he said, and walked out breathing. In addition, he would regularly send people home with no pay for the day just to be an ass. This went on for a few weeks, him coming by, being nasty to all of us, and I was over it, and was just about to leave as I had lined up other employment. The other techs were also over it. I went to give the owner my 2-week notice via phone, discreetly, which I should have known wasn't a great idea, and instead of discussing it like a human, he decided to calm down and talk face to face. Well, our friend was so incensed that I put my notice in that he forced me to clock out and go home, and also forced 2 other techs who decided to stand up for me to do the same. I decided that I had enough of this guy's crap, and not only did he deserve to have some kind of reciprocation against him, but the other techs deserved better than to continually being walked on. So I filed a complaint with the Department of Labor and outlined everything. Within a few days they had launched an investigation, and of course the owner found out who filed the complaint and called the shop and gave me hell about it, stupidly, because the phones he had were on recorded lines. Guess who I had request to listen to that conversation? In the end, I was terminated by him prior to my 2 weeks being up, as were the 2 techs who stood behind me. I filed for unemployment, which he fought me on by filing appeals with a judge, then not showing up 3 times in a row. This prompted the judge to ban him from requesting appeals against me and granting me full unemployment pay. Months later, I got a written letter from him extending an apology and offer to work for him again. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. 2 months later, I got a letter from the DOL saying that the investigation was closed and that he had been found guilty of multiple charges and was barred from operating a shop or any other business in the state for several years. Oh man, the balls on this guy. To write an apology letter and in the same letter to ask you to come work for him again? Maybe he thought he could win you over with this generous offer. Such a scumbag. But not that big as the next person, just saying. And now to the next story. She cheated on me, so I had a 3-way with her former ex-boyfriend and the guy she cheated on me with. To clear up any confusion that might come up, you have to know that I am a bisexual man. I love sharing this story because I'm still proud of it. A few years ago, my ex-girlfriend cheated on me with another guy. She then had the audacity to tell me that if I was a grown-up, that I could deal with it and that she hopes we can still be friends. No. But she lost any feelings for me and is fully in love with this new guy now. If she hadn't said that, I probably wouldn't have made this plan, but now I had to teach her a valuable lesson. I was in a depressed state for a long time and couldn't bring myself to delete her number, and she thought I was her friend now. She started to send me pictures of her and her new boyfriend with laughing emojis. She didn't even care about how much she had hurt me. And then, one day, while I went through Tinder, I found someone who was quite familiar. Her new boyfriend. Of course I wouldn't tell her that her new boyfriend is on Tinder. In fact, I matched with him, which was quite surprising because I thought he was straight and we started a conversation. He didn't know who I was, she never told him she was in a relationship while she was flirting with him. But this was perfect. We had longer conversations and he told me more and more about him. Over the weeks, we learned more and more about each other, and now I had a plan. I suggested that we could meet each other at the bar. He agreed. Keep in mind, he was still in a relationship with my ex-girlfriend at the time. When we met, we had a great time, and one date became many dates. It took me few months, but then I got him to the point where he developed feelings for me and I was his affair. What he didn't know, I got in contact with my girlfriend's former ex-boyfriend as well. He broke up with her because he came out as gay. I was in contact with both guys. The ex-boyfriend and I got along very well. In fact, I made him a close friend of mine. In our conversations with my new boyfriend, we talked about sexual desires and he told me that he always wanted to have a three-way, so I suggested one with the gay ex-boyfriend. I knew that he was his type because we kinda look alike and he had feelings for me, so I asked the gay ex-boyfriend if he wanted to become the third one and to my surprise he said yes. I'm honestly still surprised how all of that worked out without her noticing, but it did in the end, and the day came where I decided to go nuclear. The two guys came to my apartment, I led them to the bedroom and they started talking to each other. While they talked, I took a selfie from a safe distance, close enough that she could see their faces, but far enough that they wouldn't notice. Then the action started. Of course, I won't go into any detail, but damn, I enjoyed it more than anything in the world. A few days after this, I told him that now that I granted him the wish of a three-way, I wanted something in return. I told him that I don't want to be an affair any longer and told him that he should either break up with her or I will break up with him. I knew it was hardcore manipulative, but I had a plan and I had the full control over him. He actually broke up with her and threw her out. I even got him to move out of his apartment to move in with me, meaning that she lost both her home and her boyfriend. But I wasn't done yet. Because after that she texted me with crying emojis that her boyfriend dumped her and that she regrets leaving me. I then said, "Your boyfriend? Are you talking about this guy?" And I sent her the selfie I took. She called and texted me several times, but I ignored her. My plan was almost successful, but there were only 3 things left that I still had to do. The first thing was that I told her mother, who hates infidelity more than anything because her father cheated on her mother with another woman. You could say like father, like daughter. Her mother was angry but thanked me for telling her. From what I've heard is that her mother cut ties with her, but I admit that I don't know if that actually happened and I don't think that it happened, but it would be funny if it was true. The second thing I did was dumping him because unfortunately for him he was a cheater too, and I hate infidelity as well. The last thing I did was going out with a gay ex-boyfriend and after a few days we got together and we are still a couple. In the end I destroyed both her and the guy she cheated on me with and couldn't be more proud of myself. What a happy ending for such a terrible story. freak her for doing that and turning the whole scenario back to you for not being mature enough if you cannot accept it. I am just thinking what could have gone through her head when she saw the photo. She must have been devastated. But as you should remember, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And that being said, this is the end of the video. I hope you have a good morning, evening or night depending on where you are. Bye!